We are live. Let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quat. We're back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. We have Kate Reid. How's it going today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's Monday. That's about the extent I got for you right now.
Totally. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, excited to sit down and chat with you a little bit, get to know more about you. So how's everything going up in Calgary?
It's been great. It's quite a cool city. I've been here a few years now, and the music scene is a lot bigger than I thought it would be, especially for country music. And we finally have some not negative temperatures, so that's a plus too. So it's been good. I can't complain.
As long as you're not freezing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So where are you from originally?
I'm actually from the Yukon. I was born there and grew up there, and then I left for university and pursued a degree in agriculture while always trying to do the music on the side, just because that was, was pushed, you got to get a real job, all that stuff. So did that for a while and then moved to Calgary. So I've been here since 2019.
Oh, nice. And so with the ag degree, was that kind of the plan and then music started doing something, or was...
Not really. Like, I've always wanted to do music. I think it was a matter of not really knowing how to start, or I was writing music since I was so young, but I didn't really know that it could be like a job, I guess, as silly as that sounds, unless you were like picked up and went viral or went on a show, or especially where I was from, like there's music in our small community, but it was pretty tiny. So I always had an interest in animals and agriculture as well. So it was kind of doing, I guess, the best of both worlds. So
fair. And so music, was that something that like your family introduced you to, or was that something you found kind of on your own?
A little bit of both. I don't know if I can say that my family was super musical. My dad played piano, and that's how I got into piano when I was young. But he was not very good, bless his heart. So I kind of kept going from there. And my grandfather, actually, on my mom's side, was quite musical. So I think it kind of came through that way. And my mom's got a beautiful voice, but will not sing in front of people. So it definitely was something we always had on in the background. But country music was something that I found on my own because I discovered the CMT channel at a pretty young age. So it kind of went from there.
Fair. So what were you like before you got into country and discovered all that? What were you listening to prior to that? Was it just like standard like rock music, like the oldies, I guess it would be?
The oldies, for sure. A mix of everything. My first cassette tape was the Spice Girls. That was kind of, that was the fad back then. And my mom listened to Shania Twain quite a bit as well. So that kind of introduced me into that country music realm. So
nice. Yeah, I remember the old cassette days. I was never really that big into music, but I got a boombox once for Christmas, and I was like, I'm gonna go buy cassettes. And like Circuit City or whatever had like 3 for $10 or whatever. Like they had some kind of a set, like a bargain bin type situation. I was like, okay, and so I just picked like 3 random cassettes, and it was like nothing even from like the 90s. It was all stuff from like the 50s and 60s of people I'd never heard of. And I was just like, okay, like this is what I'm going to listen to. So
that's funny.
But I feel like a lot of kids nowadays, that's just kind of what Spotify is anymore. Like you're taking so many chances. So
yeah, definitely. It sure is. It's changed a lot.
Right. So you've kind of started cutting your teeth in country music on watching through CMT?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of how it started. I loved the storytelling that country music had, so that's kind of where I started listening to it and falling in love with it and watching the music videos on that channel. My mom got me a karaoke machine, which was probably a little bit of a regret for her for a few years, but kind of started singing that way and writing my own songs when I was pretty young, not even really knowing what I was doing or what it meant. I just always thought it was super cool to sit down and put a melody and some lyrics together. And so kind of all spiraled from there. But
right. Isn't that how everyone starts though, not knowing what you're doing or what it really means?
Yeah. And it's all about starting from something that's fun, I think, too. And that's what makes it so unique. And I guess how you kind of figure out what you're supposed to be doing, because if you enjoy it, then that's a pretty good sign.
Right? 100%. Like if you can just kind of keep the enjoyment of it, then you're doing the right thing. So, just kind of looking from there, was that kind of when you started, like once you started playing around with the karaoke machine, that's when you kind of started writing your own music, or were you doing that prior to the?
It was probably after that. I definitely was just singing covers, I guess, and
Yeah.
songs that I liked on there. And I started playing piano when I was 4 or 5 years old. I was pretty young. But again, was on that like classical music train because that's what they teach you when you're taking
Mm.
um, lessons like that. And kind of started writing some songs from there. But I think that my real songwriting probably started when I was like 14.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
I really wanted to start playing country music. And so my mom actually got my first guitar. She traded it for a bottle of wine from her boss. And he had this old Fender he wanted to get rid of. So I really started songwriting when I got that guitar. And that's
Nice.
when it all, I guess, started to come together and started to play a lot more live when I hit that age too within my community and my high school. I played a lot there too and joined all the bands. And yeah, it kind of took off from there. So.
Nice. Now, do you think it was easier for you to play out gigs at a younger age because how tight knit and small your community was, or do you think that was it made it a little bit harder?
I think it's kind of both ways, honestly. Like first playing in front of people, I was never really nervous to do it because I had grown up playing piano in front of a bunch of people and was
Hmm.
classically trained into the Royal Conservatory thing. And so every year I had to do those huge recitals. And so it never really bothered me getting up in front of people. But I guess, yeah, a little bit of both. You know pretty much everyone who's there. So sometimes the judgment is stronger. But sometimes it's even harder getting up in front of a room full of strangers too, just because you don't have any familiar faces. So
Fair.
um, I think honestly, like playing from a young age has made it really easy for me to get up in front of people now. So I'm thankful for that because I find as an adult now, like public speaking is like one of my worst nightmares. And
Oh,
people are like, how you sing in front of everybody? And I'm like, it's so different to me. I don't
mhm.
know.
Oh yeah.
It's just a completely different game.
Oh yeah. It's funny because we'll do like live podcasts, and I have no problem being up there because I got my buddy with me, and I've got a musician in front. Like we do this like musician showcase thing, and I've got no problem doing that. But you put me on the mic by myself in front of 7 people, I freeze up like a flag in mid-January.
Right? It's
So
crazy how that happens.
yeah, it is a completely different thing. I agree. So when did you kind of make that transition of music as a hobby to this is my thing? Like this is what I need to be doing. This is what I want to be doing. You know, all that.
Yeah, it's I'm still figuring it out. I think we all are, but that's good. That's
Fair.
good. It was probably around the time right before I moved to Calgary, so like 5, 6 years ago. It was always something I was wanting to do, and I'd written songs, but hadn't really done any recordings professionally or anything like that. I had tried out for Canada's Got Talent when I came out of high school. Did that for a little bit, got kicked off. It was just a fun ride. I had no idea, and then kind of went that like professional route and got the degree and was working in agriculture, and I still do, and I love it. But just the past couple of years, I've really been given some opportunities to have it take off. So when I recorded my music in COVID, actually, was
Mhm.
probably when I was like, okay, this is what I have to be doing. This is what I want to
Nice.
be doing, and let's actually start making this. Let's give it a try because
Right.
if I don't try now, then I won't.
Yeah, for sure. You are actually the first person that we've ever had on that participated in the Got Talent cert, like the because you know you got like the Voice, American Idol or Idol and all that stuff. But as far as like Got Talent,
Yep.
you're the first. So
Oh,
congratulations.
cool. I didn't
So
make it very far, so
fair. You know, it's just one of those things where it's like it's gotten to the point now where it's just like I'm kind of checking off all the different fun game shows. So it's like, okay, now I can check off another one, you know,
yeah.
and once I get like America's Got Talent, it's like, okay, now we can just go to like, okay, where's Brazil? Where's UK? You know, just like all the different ones. So
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So let's talk about that a little bit. I know you'd mentioned that you didn't make it very far, but what was that experience like? Was it like a whole new experience for you, or did you feel pretty comfortable being there?
It was a whole new experience. Honestly, it was probably to date one of the more intimidating things that I've done. I was young. I was like 18. I just finished high school. I was taking a gap year before going to university because I was trying to figure out like I wanted to do music, and my parents were like, "Okay, how
Right.
are you gonna do that?" I'm like, "I don't know." So took a year off and worked and auditioned for that, and I made it. I think like 3 rounds. I got to go to Vancouver, which was really cool, and
Nice.
fly down there and kind of feel like a little bit of a celebrity or, oh yeah, I'm going to audition for this TV show. And it was really cool. It was very humbling. You come from being like a very big fish in a small pond, and then you go do something like that, and you are right away the complete opposite. And it was a very cool experience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But it definitely kind of opened my eyes to like there is a such thing as people making really good TV
Mhm.
and others not so much. And so much talent was in the room too. Like they divvied us off into groups of, I think it was 10 or 15 people to
Mhm.
audition. And this guy went right before me, and he was probably the best singer I've ever heard in my life at that point. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, I'm screwed. It was really cool, but yeah, a very interesting experience.
Nice. That's cool. Who were the judges during that time? Was it
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember to be honest.
fair?
Uh, yeah, I would have to look. It. I after
I
that I
didn't.
didn't watch the show. I was a little bit
Okay.
cold, salty. So
Fair. Fair. I didn't know if it was like because like I know like if you go to like Australia and stuff, you got like Boy George and all them that are like
yeah,
involved in some of that stuff. So I didn't. I just didn't know if like Drake just like sneaks in or something.
right.
And right. So, um, no, that's really cool. And so you said you were on there for about 3 rounds or 3 weeks or
Yeah, not very far. My goal was to make television, and I didn't. So
mm, fair, fair.
yeah.
Uh, I completely understand. So after that, you ended up going to school. Is that where you kind of started like releasing music, or how does kind of the releasing process kind of start happening?
Yeah, went to school and I didn't really play much music throughout my 4 year degree. I went to school in Saskatchewan.
Mhm.
I played a few shows here and there, played at a couple bars, kept writing songs all the time. I'm kind of known for writing sad songs, and that's been my kind of my shtick. So I'm starting to just own that. But went through those awkward breakups and stuff through university, and so wrote about that. And then I moved to Calgary, and that was when I started releasing.
Mhm.
Um, I went through a pretty bad breakup after, as we all have done after university. And so I kind of during that time was like, okay, I really want to do music, and I've been putting it off, and I've done my degree and I'm working now, and now's the time to try it. So that's when I really started to kind of zone in on releasing some things. So we actually did it remote. The people that I was working with initially were out of Nashville, and we did an EP, and it was a really cool process, but very different again because I'd never done it before and had no clue what I was doing. So did all the vocals in Calgary, and they did the instruments in Nashville, and then mixed it all there. And my first EP went out around 2020, 2021. So
Nice. And so was this all under like Kate Reid, or were you going under a different name at that point?
no, it was all under Kate Reid.
Okay. Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha. I didn't know if there was like a phase where you were like, hey, let's do like a band project or something. You know,
totally.
it
I thought
happens.
about keeping my like real name, but then I was like, you know what? My real name is not cool. It does not work for music. It's not like catchy, but so I figured, yeah, we'd use Reed, which is my mom's side,
Uh,
their name. So
Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm kind of screwed on either way. So it's just like, I gotta go with the Polish name because it's
yeah,
either a very long German name, or if I go to my dad, like deeper on my dad's side, it's a even longer Polish name. So it's just like, yeah, we'll go with quiet. We're gonna stay right there in the pocket. So it's, no, that's cool. And so the was your first EP I Do, or is your first EP not up yet?
my first EP was I Do.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
gotcha,
My
gotcha.
first single was Numb, and that came out gosh, it might have been 2020, and my EP was actually probably closer to 2021, 2022 by the time we actually got it all out. But
Mm.
yeah, that was the first big project. And then the second one is underway now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
nice. I'm really excited to hear the new music because, like, when I came across your page, I heard I was going on a weird Linkin Park acoustic cover thing,
yeah,
and then so your num came in like in play there, and I was just like, okay, let's listen to this, and yeah, so that's how you got initially introduced to me. So
awesome, love that.
yeah, so kind so looking at your first EP and now you're working on, is it going to be singles, a full EP, LP? Like, what's kind of the thought process? Because I know you got a new project releasing on Friday, so.
Yeah. So a single coming out on Friday, which is going to be part of a full length album.
Mhm.
So that is what is in the works. So probably do a couple singles and then release the full album. We're hoping for the summer. So working on that now. So it's pretty exciting because I feel like I finally found the sound I've been looking for, and I've had an opportunity to work with some pretty cool people in Calgary, and so I think it's going to be a great project. So I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. So you didn't work with the people down in Nashville?
No, great people, but I had an opportunity here in Canada just last year, actually. In February of last year, I was signed to a label. So I
Nice.
am now working with Blue Willow Entertainment, and they're out of Calgary. Super fantastic group of people. They're artists as well. So they've been kind of helping me out and guiding me through it. And
Yeah.
they have a studio here as well. And so I did my recordings out there. And yeah, it's been coming
Cool.
together pretty cool. So.
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. I feel like Calgary and like Toronto are like two cities in Canada that can like really self-sustain a music industry right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe there's another one, but just off the top of my head, those two kind of pop in, and it's like it's really cool that you're kind of keeping everything local.
Yeah, it is nice to do. I mean, to try and keep it as close to home is great for a lot of reasons, but even just to, like you said, to kind of make those connections and be able to make changes just in the studio too. Like the Nashville experience was amazing and would love to go back. But really cool to be able to be in the studio with all the artists at once and record things off the floor and change things here and there and work with your friends, work with people that you've kind of met throughout the industry and you kind of come up with some pretty cool things. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's been a great opportunity. I didn't realize that Calgary had such an awesome live music focus
Yeah.
until I moved here and then started getting out and about. And I was like, gosh, everywhere has live music. That's so cool. So
Nice.
definitely a city for supporting that, which is really neat.
Yeah, for sure. I think country music is getting like a real international infusion right now because there's a lot of like I'm paying attention to like what's going on in Nashville, like as far as like who's going there and like who's moving in. And it's a lot of people from Canada coming down and like really giving their music a try. There's a lot of people from the UK coming over. There's a lot of people from Australia coming over. And it's just like the country music is getting a really big international infusion right now. And it's kind of cool to watch kind of unfold.
It is for sure. It's yeah. My friend and I made a little reel on Instagram a little bit ago, and we were kind of saying country music is back, baby, and it is, and I love it because I remember growing up listening to it and was teased a little bit for liking country music and some of the older stuff that I was listening to. People were like, "Gosh, that's twangy! Like, what are you doing?" And
Right.
now it's cool. And when we got into high school, everyone started to listen to it, and I was like, ah. Now it's cool. So.
Now who's the crazy person?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I love that it's coming back, and I love that that old sound is coming back too.
Oh yeah. It's one of those things where it's like I missed out on the entire 90s kind of country thing because growing up in Chicago, all we really had was Shania Twain and like the Dixie Chicks. Those were kind of it. And maybe like later on, Tim McGraw kind of started crawling in, Tim McGraw and like Rascal Flats and all that. But other than that, that was kind of all country was where I grew up. And it wasn't until I went away to school. I moved like 6 hours south of growing up in Chicago, and they started really introducing me to like country music. Like, hey, these aren't like OG names, but these are names you need to kind of know. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool to kind of see the influx of and like respect that a lot of these older names that maybe weren't getting a whole lot of love in the 90s, and now it's just kind of like, okay, they're getting that love and respect that they kind of deserve. So
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
but so you got a new single coming out on Friday. What's the story behind this?
So this single I wrote actually like 4 years ago, and I sat on it for quite a while. It was one of those songs that I wrote really quickly, like sat down and just kind of came out of me. I had asked a couple friends for some advice on the bridge, and other than that, it was just kind of there. And I just kind of sat with it and wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it because I kind of felt at that point that the EP had been done. It was written after the EP, but
Yeah.
kind of in like that awkward time. And I was like, okay, well, I've kind of told that story of like that, the heartbreak and the stuff that I'd gone through. But um, as I've kind of moved forward, I realized that I feel like this song could be interpreted in so many different ways for a lot of different people and almost kind of utilized as an anthem. This song for me started out as a letter, really. And so I used that as just a bit of an outlet because I knew it was not something I would ever send. It was a letter to the other woman, and so I kind of wrote it into a song and figured, hey, this could be just kind of an anthem for anybody that's been through a similar crappy situation. And I'm sorry that people have been, but it is unfortunately life. And so decided to release this as my next single and kind of the start to this project, which is essentially the next phase of kind of who I am and
Yes.
where I came from. So
Nice. And so the name of the single is called Girl.
it
Just
is.
if you hadn't kind of picked up on the theming of it.
Yeah.
But so you said you'd been sitting on it for a little bit. What was it about like now that you were like, you know what, it's time to do something with this? Like what kind of re-sparked your interest in it?
I had been playing it at shows for quite a while. It would be part of my acoustic sets, especially, and my band and I ended up actually writing some stuff for it and playing it a few times last summer. And the feedback I was getting from people was pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people would kind of say, "Hey, this song resonates with me," or "I feel something in this song." And it's hard to release stuff that is like about you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really vulnerable and it's kind of putting yourself out there in like a whole new way. And when I first released my EP, I was like so nervous to get it out there. Like a lot of those songs, I was like, they're never going to see the light of the day. Nobody's going to hear these. And then I kind of thought back to when I was young and I was listening to songs and my Taylor Swift era and like Reba and like all the different kind of segments of my life and songs that got me through different things. And I was like, that's the whole point. It's the whole point in country music. And if I can write something that someone can resonate with, then why not throw it out there and see what happens? So that's kind of why I decided, hey, let's get this out.
Nice. I dig it. Now, will you do like music videos and stuff for this, or are you just kind of trying to get the music out right now?
I think we will do a music video. It will probably be for Girl. There's a few other songs on the album we've kind of chatted about doing videos for, but I think this will probably be the one that we do just because it will be the first release off of it. So that will probably be coming in the coming months too. So
Nice. I love
yeah.
it. I love it so much. And then, so obviously, you're only a handful of days away before the release. What's kind of running through your mind right now since it's been a little bit since you've got put out new music?
Yeah, it's a mix of like nervous anxiety and excitement. And it's been a lot. It's been a while. It's been too long since I've released music. So the label and I are pretty excited. This is our first one together.
Nice.
So it's nice to have that team and support behind you because they know what they're doing and I didn't when I did this before. So it's been nice to have guidance that way. And yeah, we pitched it places and some radio stations have picked it up and they seem to really like it. And so that's been really exciting and
Nice.
gives you a little bit of that like boost of like, okay, this is good, or it's coming out and people seem to like it so far. So Friday will be a nervous day, but an excited day.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
So
And I feel like the industry's changed so much, even in the 2 to 3 years since it's been since you've released music. You know, it's like just kind of looking at the landscape of the industry and like what works, what doesn't work. Over the last 3 years, it's like completely different. So the fact that you're working with somebody that's kind of aware of these changes and like, okay, this is what we need to be doing. That's really cool. Like, I love the fact that you kind of took a leap of faith and was just like, you know what, we're gonna make this work. So,
Totally. Yeah, it makes all the difference, and to start working with people that have your best interest at heart too as an artist has been huge because they give you that reassurance and that when you're not super confident in yourself or and you're feeling kind of down about something you've done, and they're there to be like, no, this is actually good. Like
mhm.
let's do something with this. So
Right,
that's been huge too because the industry can be daunting.
right, 100%. And so, where you kind of at show wise right now? Are you playing pretty consistently, or are you more focused on writing, recording?
I was playing super consistently throughout last year and into the summer. Like we had a crazy amount of shows. Calgary Stampede is huge here too. I'm sure you've heard of it. And for those 2 weeks, we played some crazy amount, like 10 or 15 shows or
Yes.
something. So, which is amazing. And I'm really looking forward to doing that again this year. I took a little bit of a break in November, December,
Hmm.
took some time to rest. I'm still working full time on the side too. So my music is still a side gig, but it's also starting to become more than a side gig. So it's really busy. But I took that time to focus on writing and be in the studio and kind of ground myself again and get the stuff ready for the album and kind of figure out how I wanted to put it all together. And so we're kind of working on that right now, and we've still got shows coming up. We do at least a few every month, and then we're gonna kind of kick it off into spring again, and then we'll be playing a whole whack. So that'll be good.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like Canada is one of them places where, unless you're playing around town a lot, from like October, maybe probably November to about now, you're probably not playing a whole lot, anyways. So,
Yeah, it really depends. Like there, like you said, there's the local spots and local bars that are always having live music, and they support local artists, which is awesome. So
mhm,
we're always playing there. But yeah, as far as on the road and kind of going to other places, it definitely slows down. And then festival season obviously is over right now, so um,
mhm.
changes a lot in the winter with it being so damn cold too. So
Right.
yeah, it's a nice little break because the spring to the summer is pretty crazy.
Mhm. Wait, you mean to tell me that nobody's decided to, hey, let's tempt a like snow fest
Right?
in Calgary or in Canada, period? So,
We have our fair share of wild stuff that we do in the winter outside, and so there's definitely festivals. And I've played a
right.
couple outside in like minus 15, minus 20 degrees Celsius, and your
Ooh,
hands just don't work.
right.
Yeah,
And the fact that you said Celsius, it's like, oh, that's even worse.
I
Like,
know, right? It's cold.
right? It's like I have a problem. Like, I mean, growing up in Chicago, I'm used to like negative degrees, but it's just like at like I top it off at like -3 Fahrenheit, and then it's just like, okay, after that, I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
but -15, couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. So, um, so kind of looking forward outside of music, obviously you mentioned you still got your full-time job. What do you like to do to kind of decompress, or is music kind of that decompression?
It definitely is my decompression. But I also have found that, like I guess songwriting's always been that for me. Like as much as I love performing and I love being out and doing that sort of thing with the music, the songwriting portion is definitely my kind of grounding and decompress moments because I've kind of learned about myself in the past few years that as much as I love being out and social and playing and doing all those things, I definitely need some quiet time too.
Yeah.
To recover. And so I do that a lot, kind of journaling and writing. And other than that, it's getting outside as much as possible when it's not freezing.
Right, right, right. I think that disconnect or the disconnection of whether it's going outside and just kind of letting everything else go or sleep. Like, I find that when I don't have anything to do, I like to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, not even because I'm tired, it's just like the idea of like, okay, I may not get to sleep
Yep.
next week or this week, so I'm going to sleep now while I can. So,
Totally. And just the rest and recovery. And at least when you're sleeping, you fully shut off,
Hmm.
which is important because, yeah, I find that everybody's so busy these days and the hustle and bustle and cell phones, and we're always accessible. And you really need to take the time to disconnect from all of that. So sleep's important too.
Right, right, right. So now, are you using your ag degree in your full time job? Or are you doing something agriculture related?
Yeah, I am. I am working in agriculture full time still,
Okay,
and I work with some pretty cool farmers and different agronomists throughout Canada and
nice,
BC and Alberta. And yeah, it keeps me very busy, and it's fun because I kind of get to use both passions. So
nice, nice, nice. Yeah, the I had somebody on the podcast a couple of weeks ago that lives in, oh, where does she live? We'll say Eastern Canada, like
okay,
far,
yeah,
far East Canada. And she was telling me a story about how during college she would plant trees to make a little bit of extra money. Like,
yeah,
you know, and she was like, yeah, it was fun, but hard work. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'd imagine so.
totally, totally. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a few friends actually that have done the tree planting, and it does seem like very hard work.
Yeah. But it's like once you kind of get in your groove and it's just like, I get it. Like definitely see the appeal of it. So,
Mhm.
um, so kind of looking forward, you've got your new single dropping on Friday. And then do you have like a TBD date on the second single, or is it all kind of still up in the
Um,
air?
it's a little bit up in the air still. We're thinking probably May
Okay.
for the second single. But that yeah, that one is also done and complete, and I shouldn't probably say that, but just kind of now formulating how we're gonna strategically release everything, and yeah, the album will hopefully be mid to late summer.
I
So,
love it. I love it so much. I don't think you caused too much drama saying it's done and complete. Like, I think that was a vague enough answer that it was
yeah,
like,
but
okay,
it's political enough, right? Yeah,
vague enough, it's good enough, and it's a big enough a tease to be like, okay, it's ready to go.
yeah, it's coming, but you can't have it yet.
Fair, fair, fair. And then just kind of one thing that we like to do before we wrap up every podcast, is we want to pass on some knowledge to the young musicians out there. So, what's a piece of advice you would love to tell 12-year old you?
As simple as it sounds, I think just to have fun with it. Because I know looking back at myself, even now, I have to take a step back all the time and remind myself to just have fun and not put so much damn pressure on myself because pressure's good and it's great to be motivated and pushing and wanting to do all the things and write the music, release the music, do this, do that, play this many shows, and oh my gosh, this person's doing this and I have to do this. And so I think that's probably the biggest piece of advice that I actually do give people and would give people is if you're not having fun with it, then what are we doing? Because at the end of the day, we've all started doing music for the same reason. We love it.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's something that connects us to other people or is an outlet for us and a way to process our emotions, there's so many different avenues of music and there's so many different reasons why we do it. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to we love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, yeah, if you're starting to not have fun with it, there's been times in my career when I'm like, oh my gosh, this feels like a job. And I've had to like take a step back and be like, okay, let's change something because we started this because we love it. So let's get back to that. So I think that that would probably be my biggest piece of advice. And to, yeah, just not put so much pressure because social media is amazing, but it's also awful. And it can be like our worst
Yep.
nightmare too, because it's so easy to go on there and compare yourself to, oh, this person's posted this many times or sang this many shows or they've released this many songs this year. And at the end of the day, we're only posting the good. We're not posting the bad usually.
Yeah.
So just to take it day by day and to know that you're right where you're supposed to be.
100%. I think we need to take time to normalize posting the bad moments as well, because,
Totally.
I think those are the moments that people really connect with your character as a person. So,
Yeah, 100%. And it makes you human. It's
mhm.
yeah, and even it comes back to releasing certain songs. Like this song is not necessarily a happy song, but at the end of the day, it's real. So let's put it out there because that's just what it's all about.
100%. I agree. So, if anybody wants to check out your music, all that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, so I am on all social media platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff under Kate Reid Music. My website is katereidmusic.ca. So those are probably the best places. Instagram at Kate Reid Music is probably my most active social media outlet. So yeah, and I have my pre-save link for Girl on there. So if anybody wants to go pre-save it before Friday, if not, then just stream it when it's out. That would be super greatly appreciated.
100%. I know pre-saves make all the difference. So
we
will have the pre-save link in the description, all that fun stuff. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute blast chatting with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you all later. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Live and Amplified's Indie Fusion podcast. If you'd like to support anything Live and Amplified does, please follow us on all of our social media platforms at Live, the letter N, Amplified. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, any of them, all of them, at Live, the letter N, Amplified. And if you would like to buy any official Live and Amplified merch, you can do so at our merch shop, link in the description below. Once again, thank you all. Have a great day.